Hello, guys. I am the box office nerd, and welcome to the first episode of the Marvelous Marvel podcast. If you hear some background noise, that's just my dogs, by the way. So today we have a few topics I wanted to just kind of talk about. For today's episode, it's just going to be me. I might try to get some guests on later, but no promises. I don't really have very many people that I know that are really quite as into movies or Marvel as I am, but I'll see what I can do. So, yeah, I guess we'll just get started. I've never done a podcast before. Um, well, actually, that's not true. I did do a podcast once in like seventh or eighth grade English class, but it wasn't a very good podcast. Um, and it was pretty short episodes, which this episode will probably be pretty short as well. So, first thing I guess I wanted to talk about was Moon Knight. So, Moon Knight, the trailer dropped a little while ago. Let's kind of talk about my thoughts on it. So, the trailer looks pretty neat. Not exactly what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting because I don't really know anything about the character, but I guess it just wasn't what I was expecting. I've seen a lot of people say that they're excited for it and that they want it to be like dark and they don't want it to be kind of broken up by humor. I'd have to very much disagree with that. I mean, I'm okay with some like dark overtones to the story, but I like the humor to break it up, personally. So I hope they do have some jokes in there, and I hope it is somewhat funny. So yeah, that's one of my thoughts on the Moon Knight series. I'm very glad Oscar Isaac is playing Mark Spector Moon Knight. He's a great actor, and the fact that he chose this project over like he could do like pretty much any project he wanted. He's huge in Hollywood right now. Probably means something. Probably means it's a promising show. So yeah, excited for Moon Knight. Anyway, Moon Knight comes out Disney Plus first episode on March 30th. Definitely gonna be watching it. Um, it's a little while to wait here with well, No Way Home was the last Marvel project, which was the 17th of December. So we're gonna have to wait a little while before the next project. But I'm okay with that. I mean, it's good to have some breaks in between. We don't want to oversaturate it, which it already almost kind of is, but it's not too oversaturated yet, I feel like. As long as I keep spacing them out a little bit, it should be fine, I think. And I mean, honestly, I am one of those people that would be totally fine if they have like a new thing out every weekend, whether it's a new episode of a show or a new movie. But I know that's way too much for a lot of other people, like the general public, who maybe don't watch like every MCU thing. Like, it's just going to be too much. And then for some people who are more busy, they're not going to be able to watch something every week. So I understand that, but yeah, for me, I'd be fine with that. But I understand why other people would not like that. So yeah, it's probably good we have a break in between. All right, the next movie after that is Morbius. I also don't really know much about Morbius. Other than that, he's a vampire. I have seen the trailer quite a few times, and I'm not really sure what to think of it. I think it'll be an entertaining movie for sure. But I'm not a huge fan of vampires to start with. Like anything like vampires, werewolves, any like thing like that, I'm not a huge fan of. And honestly, if it wasn't a Marvel film that was connected to the MCU, there's no way I would watch it. I'm just hoping for some kind of cameo or reference to like Spider-Man or something. I know it's not in the MCU, so if you don't know, it's owned by Sony. It's part of the Sonyverse, which right now is literally just Venom and Venom 2. Um, so it's technically not in the MCU, but Venom got pulled to the MCU, basically got drunk, and then got pulled out of the MCU. Um, so technically they are connected, and there's a lot of rumors about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man actually joining the Sonyverse, like being the Sonyverse Spider-Man, since a lot of people kind of enjoy Spider-Man now after No Way Home, which I have always enjoyed Spider-Man. I've always said that the Amazing Spider-Man movies were great. I don't know why people didn't like them, but I guess it took No Way Home for a lot of people to see that. Um, and now people are petitioning for the Amazing Spider-Man 3, which I wish they would have made back in 2014. But if we do get it, that would be amazing. If they do reference him, or even like if he shows up in Morbius, I mean that would be very, very, very unlikely. But if they reference him or something, that would be really cool. There's also been rumors about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man having a Venom versus Spider-Man movie, whether that's in the Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Venom 3, I don't know, but that would be very cool to see. And there's also some rumors about bringing back Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, but maybe this time even having her be Spider-Gwen, which would be very cool. It would be, I was saying it would be really neat to see if they make like a Amazing Spider-Man 3, kind of showing Andrew his life without, sorry, not Andrew, that's the actor's name, Peter Parker. It's weird to say, whenever I think of Peter Parker, for some reason I think of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I guess that's because that's the first Spider-Man movie I saw. But yeah, Peter's life without Gwen, and then near the end of it, then she comes through the multiverse and meets him or something. That would be really cool. If they had like some kind of Spider-Gwen movie, and then they had the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and then they met, that would be very neat. And like, I was also thinking, in the Spider-Gwen movie, if like she lost Peter in there, and then they both met, and they now have them back, the people that they lost. I don't know if this is making any sense, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Morbius, yes, that's not super excited about it, but I'm definitely gonna see it. So, coming out April 1st. And actually, when I saw a post saying that I got delayed to April 1st, I was like, oh, it's a joke. April Fool's Day, right? But nope, actually, it is being moved to April 1st, which is kind of sad, but also it's like the movie I'm looking forward to the least out of all of the upcoming movies, Marvel movies, so I don't really care too much. Alright, Multiverse of Madness. This is like the next huge Marvel movie. This is going to be a huge deal. And honestly, I'm expecting a lot from this movie because there's been rumors, all sorts of crazy rumors. There's been reports that the budget is just huge. I never heard an actual amount, but just that the budget is insanely huge. And also, Sam Raimi is the director, and he did amazing work on the Spider-Man movies, the original ones, and considering he's had 15-ish more years of experience, I mean, I want to see what else he can do now with coming back to the comic book movie realm. So yeah, that's very exciting. I'll go over some rumors here of Multiverse of Madness. Of course, I did put out a video not too long ago about rumor of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, and Marvel's Runaways coming into the movie in like a cameo. So that would be very neat to see as well. But here's some more rumors. So one of the big rumors right now is the X-Men. Like Magneto, Wolverine, Deadpool is already confirmed to be joining the MCU. We're not sure how yet. Another thing that is rumored is Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. It would be really cool if they brought in Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, played by... Oh, his name's on the tip of my tongue. Give me a second. Gabriel Luna. I don't know why I couldn't remember that name. It was on the tip of my tongue. Okay. Yeah, it would be really cool if they brought back Gabriel Luna's Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Of course, I'm a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. You know that if you watched the previous video. Alright, another rumor for Multiverse of Madness is Loki, which makes a lot of sense since it was his show that opened up the multiverse. And it would be very cool to see Loki. He's one of my favorite characters. His show is one of the best Disney Plus shows, if not the best Disney Plus show so far. So it would be very neat to see him. And also another rumor would be Sylvie along with him, which would be very cool to see as well, since she's a new character. And I also did really like her character as well. Another rumor is Gamora showing up. I don't really know why that's a rumor. but apparently it is. I don't know why she would be in it. Alright, here is the rumor everyone has been talking about. Tom Cruise, Tony Stark. So like a variant of Tony Stark played by Tom Cruise, which is very interesting. So apparently Tom Cruise passed up the chance to play Tony Stark in the original Iron Man movies in the early 2000s, and then obviously Robert Downey Jr. got the job, which I'm very glad actually that happened, because Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He did the absolute best job. I mean, of course, we've never seen anyone else really play Iron Man, but he embodies Iron Man so well. So there was apparently a leaked photo of Tom Cruise as Iron Man on the set of Multiverse of Madness, and apparently he's going to be a variant, so that would be very neat to see. It'd be obviously a lot cooler if Robert Downey Jr. was playing Iron Man and it was a variant from a different universe, but either way, it's still cool to see Iron Man like that, and it's almost like a multiverse, like in our reality too, if you think about it. Like, what if Tom Cruise didn't pass it up? What if he did end up playing Iron Man? Which is pretty neat. What else do we got here? Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is also rumored to appear in Multiverse of Madness, which at first glance doesn't make very much sense, because it's Doctor Strange film. What would Spider-Man be doing in it? I mean, obviously Doctor Strange was in Spider-Man, but Tobey Maguire basically just made a cameo in No Way Home. I mean, it was more than a cameo. He was in it quite a bit, but like he wasn't like super main part of it. So and also he went back to his universe at the end of the movie. So it's kind of at first glance like, why would he be in Multiverse of Madness? But once you think about the director Sam Raimi, who directed the original Spider-Man movies, they might be thinking, let's put him in this movie so that Sam Raimi, the original director, can kind of play with the character and maybe finish some story arcs that he was playing with, especially since his Spider-Man 4 never happened. And that could be really cool with the original actor and director from the original Spider-Man movies. So that would be very exciting. I feel like if all these rumors are true, the movie's going to be way too convoluted with like all sorts of crazy characters, unless like they all come through a portal at the end and there's just like all of them in a shot for a few seconds or something. But if they try to have like full storylines with all these characters, it's gonna be ridiculous. They're either gonna have to have the movie be like 10 hours, or it's just gonna be a convoluted mess. So there's Multiverse of Madness. Incredibly excited for that movie, coming out May 6th, I believe. Very much looking forward to that movie. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Alright, so each podcast episode I'm going to have like a spotlight project, movie, or show, or whatever you want to call it. It could be like a past one, an upcoming one that I'm watching at the moment, or I recently watched, or just anything I decide to put in as a spotlight. So today's spotlight is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've been rewatching recently. And honestly, it is like one of the best shows I have ever watched in my life. First, I'll kind of just give you my reasoning as to why I think you should watch it, or like why I like it so much. Then I'm going to get into some major spoilers about the show, just kind of talking about the show. So I'll tell you once I'm going to get into spoilers, and then if you haven't seen it, you can skip ahead to, I'll put like a timestamp in the video when it's back to normal podcast stuff, or you can just leave if you want. Alright, so let's get started. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm going to try to do some non-spoilers talk here. The first season kind of starts out a little bit slower. It gets a lot better as it goes on, I'll say that much. Although the first season is very good, it's not as good as the other seasons. And it gets really, really good. So, just for reference, the Rotten Tomato scores, Season 1 is 88, Season 2 is 91, Season 3 is 100, Season 4 is 96. Season 5 is also 100. Season 6 is 93, and Season 7 is also 100. They have 3 seasons with 100% Rotten Tomatoes score. That's saying something. So, yeah, obviously Season 1 has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score, and I would definitely agree with that. It's not a bad season of television, though. It is definitely a good season of television. It's just not a good season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, that's not true. It's a good season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not a great season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what I would say. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you watch it. There's lots of great twists and turns. I definitely was not expecting some of the twists. And the characters are great, the actors are great, storylines are great. It's just an overall amazing show. I definitely recommend it. Okay, now we're going to get into some spoiler talk. I would say skipping ahead 3 minutes should be good, but I'll put a timestamp in the comments as well. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spoiler talk starting in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so my favorite season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was probably, I don't know if not necessarily a specific season, but just the whole like storyline with the Kree in space. Basically season 5, but also season 7 with the time travel was very cool. Deke and Enoch, those two characters definitely added a lot, even though they were only in it for a short amount of time. I guess Deke was in it for a little bit longer, 2 or 3 seasons, I can't remember exactly. Was it 3? Because season 5, season 6, season 7, was he in season 6? Yeah, 3 seasons, so decent amount. Although the last 2 seasons were cut short, so it's more like 2 seasons. But Deke was definitely a great character. Earlier seasons as those go, Ghost Rider was awesome. I really hope they bring him back. I know they were talking about a long time ago doing a show just about Ghost Rider with Gabriel Luna, which would have been amazing, but got canceled, along with like most other Marvel shows. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like the only one that kept going, which is great, but it's sad that the Ghost Rider show never happened. That would have been awesome. I've never seen any of the other Ghost Rider movies or anything like that. However, I feel like Gabriel Luna did an amazing job. Of course, I don't have a reference to the other ones, but he's my favorite Ghost Rider, I guess. I can't really say that because I haven't seen the other ones, but I'm saying it. Season 3, I'm trying to remember what happened in season 3. Was that the LMD season? No, that was season 4. What was season 3? Was that the Ghost Rider season? I don't know. I'm not going to go season by season because I honestly can't remember what season is what. But, yeah, the space one with the Kree was definitely my favorite season. I think that Gravitron, was that his name? Talbot, he turned into Gravitron, I want to say was his name. It might be wrong, I don't quite remember. That was a really cool fight with him and Quake. And then, obviously, Fitz' death in that episode was just, like, heartbreaking. That was honestly one of the best death scenes, if not, actually, probably the best death scene in all of the MCU. Even probably better than Iron Man's death scene, honestly. Yeah, I give this show high praise. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. Actually, if you haven't watched it, you're probably not listening right now because that was a major spoiler. But yeah, I honestly think this show is just outstanding. Like, it doesn't even need the MCU to be a good show. Like, it has a lot of like references to the MCU, but it really does not need the MCU to be successful. And that's saying something. Like, you could take out all the references to the MCU, it'd still be an amazing show. Although I only started watching it because it's connected to the MCU, it definitely doesn't need the MCU. And if it wasn't connected to the MCU and I stumbled across it, I would definitely still watch it just because it's such an amazing show, even without the MCU. Because the movies only referenced it once, and then after the Marvel Studios acquired Marvel Television, they basically erased it from the MCU canon, which was heartbreaking. But not because it needs the MCU to succeed, but because the MCU is such a great collection of films and shows, and that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have been just an amazing addition to that. So it's just kind of, I guess it's their loss if they don't want this already made show in their universe, which already has very strong roots to their universe. It honestly doesn't make sense to me why they would cut it out. But, of course, there are rumors of them bringing it back, which if that does happen, that would be awesome. What else can I say about this show? Chloe Bennet's amazing, Clark Gregg's amazing, pretty much all the actors are amazing. I know Chloe Bennett quit Powerpuff Girls, I want to say, was the thing she left to go to another project, and she never said what the project was, so that's one of the main reasons people are thinking that she's gonna come back in an MCU project. However, it could just be a different project. But the whole thing with the secrecy of not telling what project she left it for, that does kind of make me think it could be Marvel. That is a very Marvel move right there, being so secretive. A lot of other studios and companies and movies aren't as secretive as Marvel is. So, yeah, that's my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spotlight. So now we're back to normal podcast stuff right here. All right. Next movie I was going to talk about, and the last movie for this episode is Thor: Love and Thunder. We're going to talk about the rest of the Marvel projects in the next episode. So basically all those shows except Moon Knight that are going to come out this year, and then Wakanda Forever, and I guess that's the only other movie coming out this year, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, anyway, Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm very, very excited for this movie. I loved Thor Ragnarok, and I'm sure I'll love this movie too. I'm a little bit skeptical about the Jane Foster Thor situation. I just hope she doesn't take over Thor's position. I hope she's an addition, because I love Thor and I just want him to stay in the MCU. I don't want him to leave along with the rest of the original Avengers. I know it's going to happen eventually, but I would really hope to see Chris Hemsworth Thor in Avengers 5. That would be, if once he does Avengers 5, if he wants to leave the Thor role after that, then I guess I'm okay with that. But I do think the reason he stayed so long with Thor compared to other actors like Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, who have all left their roles from the original Avengers, is because it was his first big break. He was a pretty small actor before Thor, so it really made his career. So I think he kind of feels like he owes a debt to Thor, and he should play him as long as people want him to. So that is nice. But yeah, after Avengers 5, I would be okay with him leaving the role. I wouldn't like it. I would like him to stay in the role for forever, but obviously that's not possible. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Chris Hemsworth playing Thor. What else about Thor: Love and Thunder? Christian Bale playing Gorr the God Butcher. I don't really know much about Gorr the God Butcher. I do know that Christian Bale was in The Dark Knight. I've never seen it, but I know people really do like it. I don't think he's done any other really comic book movies since then, so it's pretty cool he's coming back for this. Yeah, also there's the whole thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy. We left in Endgame. Thor and the Guardians were together, and so it's pretty interesting to see how that plays out, because Thor is like one of my favorite Avengers, and then the Guardians is also like my favorite team. So I think this movie is going to be great. I'm really going to enjoy this movie. And the cast was saying it's even crazier than Thor Ragnarok, which is hard to believe. Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorite MCU films. It's just crazy, hilarious, and just overall great. So hopefully this movie is even better than that one, which is going to be hard to do, but if it is, it's going to be like probably my favorite movie of all time. Well, that's not true. Spider-Man No Way Home is probably still going to beat it out, no matter what. That was an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely think you should. Although, if you haven't seen it yet, I did spoil it earlier in this episode, so oops. I mean, it's been out for 2 months, so if you haven't seen it by now, I feel like you would have already been spoiled. But yeah, Sony has already put out official pictures with all three of them in it. So, I mean, if you haven't seen it by 2 month mark, are you really a Marvel fan? um, so yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Thor: Love and Thunder. We don't know too much about it yet. No trailer yet. I forgot to talk about the Doctor Strange trailer, but I only watched it once. I've been trying to do this new thing where I'm not gonna like overanalyze the trailers and watch them a million times, because when I did that with the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, during like the first 20 minutes of Spider-Man No Way Home, I was just like, yep, I remember that part, remember that part, remember that part from the trailer. I was just like watching the trailer again for the first 20 minutes. So I'm gonna try to not like watch the trailer a bunch of times, because then it will kind of ruin the moments that are in the trailer when I see them in the movie, because I'll just be like, oh yeah, I've seen that 100 different times. So I don't really have much to say about the trailer. I know that Doctor Strange and Wanda are both going to be in it. They were in like the whole trailer, both of them, and it looks like it's going to be a really great film. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other MCU news or rumors I should talk about that I've been hearing about. Oh yeah, well I guess there is something about Andrew Garfield I just read. So Andrew Garfield was kind of commenting on if he would play Spider-Man again, and he did say this before. This was a different interview. He said that he would if there was the right story, which basically means yes, he would come back to play him again, which is awesome. I think he probably will end up coming to play him again, as I said earlier, and have a Venom vs. Spider-Man movie. And then he also commented on the people who wanted him to come back for The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and he basically said, where were you guys in 2014? Which I'm kind of there with him. Like, if people like him now, why didn't they like him back then? And why didn't they root for Amazing Spider-Man 3? I know The Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't very well received, but I think the reason that those two movies weren't very well received, well, the second one was probably mostly because Green Goblin, he just wasn't a great character, I feel. And having those two characters was a bit much. I think it should have just been Electro. But I think the main reason people like hated on Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man so much is because he was so much different from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and everyone loved Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And then when they bring in this new Spider-Man who's so much different, people don't like change. So people didn't really like this new Spider-Man who skateboarded and was cool and like not very nerdy, and he was just different. So yeah, people didn't like that as much. But when I watched them, I liked them. I didn't see them back in 2012, 2014. I mean, I was only, how old? Like 8 or 9 when the first one came out, and then like 10 or 11 when the second one came out. So I was probably old enough to see them, but I never did until I was like probably 2 years ago. So like I was 15, 16, somewhere in there. But yeah, I really liked him when I saw him. Andrew Garfield was like one of my favorite Spider-Man. Honestly, they're like all my favorite Spider-Man. I can't decide. Like every time I decide on one, I'm like, oh, Andrew Garfield. But oh, Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire are really good too. And then I'm like, oh, okay, Tom Holland. No, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are good too. Yeah, I can't decide who my favorite Spider-Man is. Honestly, though, a little bit of controversial opinion. Tobey Maguire is probably, if I really had to make a list, Tobey Maguire would be last, and then Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield would be tied. I'm gonna get so many hate comments for saying that. I know people really love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and the second Spider-Man is very, very good. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. Every time I see it, I'm just like, that is the best Spider-Man movie. And honestly, it probably is. It's really good. But the first Spider-Man movie is kind of average, I feel like. Not average, it's good. But the third Spider-Man movie is just, well, we don't talk about that one. It's not very good. So I would say Tobey Maguire is my least favorite which is very unpopular opinion, but that's just my opinion. I know if you like Tobey Maguire, you go ahead to keep liking Tobey Maguire. I do not to say I don't like Tobey Maguire. I do like him. I like his Spider-Man. I like him. Um, but I just like Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland's Spider-Man's better, personally. And I think a lot of people grew up seeing Spider-Man. I was too young for that. Seeing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I was too young for that. And so they're kind of blinded by nostalgia a little bit. But also, I am a little bit biased because of how young I am, and then I saw these newer Spider-Man movies with this crazy CGI and all this stuff, and these older ones don't have as good CGI. I mean, the first one, you can definitely tell it doesn't have great CGI, but the next 2 and 3 have pretty decent CGI for the time. But yeah, the first one definitely you can tell is dated, and I think that's also one of the reasons it's not my favorite, which it's not the film's fault, it's just the time period it was made in. And if there's people who are older than me, they don't mind that, they're used to that, but for me, I'm kind of spoiled with this crazy CGI stuff nowadays, so that's another one of the reasons probably. Well, I think that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. And send in any questions you have for me, my thoughts on stuff, or anything about Marvel. Thanks for listening, and see you next episode. Bye.